UTM parameters are super important when asking yourself the question, where did my results actually come from? If you're running ads on both Facebook and Google Ads at the same time, you've probably noticed that they tend to over-attribute their results. In other words, they'll both take credit for the same conversion. So in this video, I'll show you how to correctly set up UTMs and avoid any common tracking issues. Hey everyone, it's Axel here, and today we're going to talk about UTM parameters. So whether you're running multiple campaigns on one platform or just one campaign but on multiple platforms, it's crucial to know where your results are coming from. Since platforms like Google and Facebook ads often tend to over-attribute their results, each stealing each other's conversions when you're running both at once. And UTMs are a great way to solve this. So I'm going to show you right now how to set everything up, that way you're tracking things correctly in both platforms at the same time. Let's start with Google Ads. So in Google Ads, there's two different ways you can use UTM parameters. The first way is within an ad link. The second way is using a tracking template. If you add a UTM specifically to an ad link, the UTMs will only apply to that ad, whereas a tracking template can be added to the account, campaign, or ad set level. And if you add it to that, it'll be tracking every single ad or every step underneath that stage. But for simplicity, I'm going to show you first how to do it with an ad link so then you can actually see how the parameters work. So if I wanted to add a UTM to one of the specific ads that we're running, I would go into my campaigns right here. Let's say this one right here, and then I would go here and click on ads. So let's say I wanted to add my UTMs to this link right here. You would always start by adding your first parameter at the very end of the link, starting with a question mark. And for example, if we wanted to track as our first parameter what the source of the ad is, so essentially what ad platform, I could write right here, UTM_source equals Google ad. That way, whenever a result comes in through this ad specifically, in your Google Analytics account, you'll be able to see exactly that the source was actually Google Ads. Another common parameter you want to track is the medium. So if I want to add another parameter, I would now have an and symbol as opposed to the question mark, which is only for the first parameter. And I would then add UTM medium equals, and for Google Ads, it's standard to have CPC as your medium. Next, you might also want to know which campaign it's coming from. So I could also have a UTM_campaign equals campaign name, where campaign name is essentially the name of your campaign. And if I wanted to narrow it down even further to the ad set level, I could add another parameter, which is UTM_ad group equals ad group name, where ad group name is the actual name of your ad group. And with a structure like this, every time a result comes in from this ad specifically, you'll be able to see now exactly which ad group it came from and the name of it, which campaign name it came from, the medium, so CPC, and which source, Google Ads, essentially. So that's how to set one up within a link, and that's how parameters work on an overall level. But let's say now that you have 10 different campaigns, each of them with different names, and you want to track them all in a non-manual way. That's essentially where tracking templates come in, and I'll show you how to do that next. So if I exit here, what I can do instead is I can go into my account settings. So I go on the left here and scroll down to the admin and then click on my account settings. And then I'm going to find the drop down that says tracking, which is this one right here. And I can see that I currently don't have a tracking template. If I set up a tracking template here, what's going to happen is, since I'm doing this on the account level, that tracking template is going to apply to everything underneath it. So that means every single campaign, ad group, and ad that I'm currently running in this account right now. So unlike my ad link here, I don't have a specific URL. Instead, since I have multiple different URLs that I'm bringing traffic to within this entire account, I actually want this field to be dynamic, since the specific URL, depending on which ad I'm running, is different. Instead of having the URL, what I can have is between two squiggly brackets is I can include a dynamic field, which is called lpurl. You want to make sure that this exactly says the same thing. And what this will do is wherever the result actually came from, it will swap lpurl with the actual URL that the result came from. Next is my question mark, because now I'm about to add my first UTM parameter, which is usually the source. So I'm going to have UTM_source, and I'm going to put this as equal Google Ads, because Google Ads remains unchanged no matter which campaign or which ad the result came from. The source was Google Ads. So I want to keep this part manual. Same thing for the medium. For the UTM medium, I want this equal to CPC, because that will remain unchanged no matter which ad the result actually came from. Next is my campaign. If I want to see which campaign this came from, this is where things start to become a little bit different. So I would have my UTM_campaign, and instead of it being equal to my campaign name, that doesn't apply anymore because I have 5 different campaigns and they all have a different name. So instead, I want to add a squiggly line to make this dynamic, and I'm going to have campaign ID instead. And what this is going to do is it's going to grab the campaign name the result came from and auto-populate it into here, into your Google Analytics 4. That way you don't have to set it up for every single campaign manually. The same thing applies to your ad group. I can do this dynamically as well, and I can add the to UTM ad group equals, and instead of having a manual ad group name now, I can have my squiggly lines to make it dynamic and have ad group ID instead. And so now if I click save on this, what's gonna happen is whenever a result comes from any ad, what I'll be able to see in my Google Analytics is specifically which ad group the result came from, which campaign, the CPC medium, as well as the Google ads as my source. That's how you do it on Google. Now let's dive into Facebook. But before we continue to Facebook, if you like this video so far, feel free to give me a subscribe below and a like as well. That way you're updated on all my newest videos to come. Okay, so now we're in Facebook ads. Unlike Google, you don't actually have tracking templates within Facebook ads. This can only be done on the specific ad level. However, at the end of this video, I'll show you a trick where you can take your template, make it dynamic, and then just auto apply it to every single ad at once. That way it'll save you time. So in order to do this, to start, let's say I want to track just one ad. I can select a campaign. Let's say this ad set, and let's say I want to track this ad specifically. What I would want to do next is scroll all the way to the bottom where it says URL parameters. So just like Google, you always start with a question mark for your first parameter, and our first parameter that we want to track is the source. So I would start with UTM source equals, and in this case, it wouldn't be Google ads, it would actually be Facebook ads. And this part is manual because no matter where my result came from within this platform, it came from Facebook ads, so I don't want this to actually be dynamic. Next is the UTM medium, and for Facebook ads, it's standard to have this equal to paid. So I'm gonna leave that as it is, and I'm also gonna leave it fully manual. Next is the campaign. So to have my campaign, I'm gonna have UTM underscore campaign. And this is where things change and where, once again, I want to make things dynamic because I have multiple different campaigns. So to make things dynamic, unlike Google, which is between one squiggly line, for Facebook, it's actually two squiggly lines. So I'm gonna have two of these. If you don't have two, this is not gonna work, so make sure you have two. And then instead of it being campaign ID, it's actually going to be campaign.name, and then I'm gonna close it off with two of the squiggly brackets. If you don't get this part exactly the same way I wrote it down, it's going to break. So make sure that this part is exactly the same as my screen. Next, we also want to maybe track the ad set the result came from. So what I can do is I can have UTM underscore ad set like this, and then I'm going to put equals. And to make this dynamic, I'm going to open this up with two squiggly brackets and have adset.name, and then I'm going to close it off. And then finally, if I want to track which specific ad this came from, I would then have and UTM underscore, and instead of having ad right here, it's actually standard to put content instead. And I'm going to put this to equals, two open brackets once again, and I'm going to put ad.name and then close that off. And so what I have here now for this ad specifically is in the future, if a result comes from this ad, within my Google Analytics, it's going to tell me exactly which ad, ad set, campaign, medium, and source that result actually came from. Now, this is dynamic, but it only applies to this single ad. Now, you might be wondering, how do I apply this to every single one of my ads in my account quickly? And here's how you do it. So what I want to do next is I want to grab this right here, highlight all of it, and copy it. Next, I'm going to exit, and I'm just going to close this. And what I want to do, I'm going to select every single one of my campaigns that I want being tracked right now. Next, I'm going to click on the ads tab, and I'm going to select one of them. However, I'm then going to scroll all the way down, press shift, click right here. That way, every single one of my ads is highlighted. Next, I'm going to scroll down, and where it says URL parameters, I'm going to paste my template right here, and then I'm going to click on publish. And so what I'm doing now is I'm taking that template and I'm just applying it to every single ad at once. That way you can do it in 2 seconds as opposed to doing it for every single ad one at a time. And that's it. So now you have the full breakdown on how to set UTM parameters for both Google and Facebook ads. From now on, if you're running ads in both platforms at the same time, you will always be able to see which source, medium, campaign name, ad group name, and ad the result actually came from. If you're looking to scale and want your tracking set up in the correct way, you can feel free to book a call with me in the description below. That way we can have a chat on potentially working together. And if you have any other questions about how UTMs work, feel free to drop those in the comments below, and I'll try to get back to you as quick as I can. Apart from that, thanks for watching. I hope you liked this video, and I'll see you on the next one.